Hi, this is Stephanie, and I just wanted to give a little update about why this is the first podcast in 2025 and actually in a year. And that is because in November 2024, I found out I had brain cancer. That was extremely shocking. I was having no signs coming up that there was something wrong health wise, physically. So finding out about the brain cancer kind of came about in a pretty dramatic way. And I'm not going to go into all the details of that. I just wanted you guys to hear a little update about what was going on. And this is going to be a pretty short podcast. So it's been a lot to go through this past year, and I have really been in a place where I couldn't do podcasts among many other things. I just wanted to give a little update and say that one thing I majorly realized during this time is that there's so many types of cancer. And it would be impossible, I think, to know all the details about every type of cancer. But for sure, it's not just about cancer. There's also a lot of chronic diseases, a lot of intense things that people live through for a short amount of time, and some things that they have their whole rest of their life. The other thing is that cancers are so different. And even within one type of cancer, there can be so many variations to it, and you really can't make assumptions of what someone else is going through. There's different treatments, different processes, so many different things. As an individual, there's no way I would be an expert in brain cancer because in most top 10 lists for men and women, brain cancer is not on that list. But if you know a person or someone in your area that has brain cancer, there are some online groups, Facebook groups, and things like that, which are a starting place to find out some more. And I think for any condition, thankfully, in the internet world we live in, there is at least a way to find some other people online who are going through what you're going through or something similar. So, how I found out was not because I was getting a checkup or noticing headaches or noticing something physical. I was just walking our dog in the morning like normal and had some really strong condition come over me. And I ended up having to sit down. And again, not going into a ton of detail about that, but I ended up being able to get up and go to the house. And it was a seizure. But I didn't know that adults could get seizures for the first time. I had no idea what had just happened. So I said, okay, well, if that ever happens again, I'll go to a doctor, but just went right about a regular day. And then in the middle of the day, that came on me again. I ended up calling my mom, and she said, and I thought I was explaining to her what was happening, but she said, I'm going to call 911. And so they came. I ended up going to ER where they did an MRI on my head and found a tumor there. So I was then transferred to ICU and ended up spending 5 days there. And then in December, we went back to the doctor there who I loved, and he recommended, if at all possible, that we go to MD Anderson in Houston. So, yay, we got to go there on December 23rd, right before the holiday. And so we met with an amazing doctor, surgeon there, and found out the best type of surgery for this is an awake brain surgery. But as weird as that sounds, you're not actually fully awake the whole time. You're awake part of the time, and then you go back out. And that's kind of a funny story in some ways, too. But after that, of course, there was a lot of recovering from the surgery. Then there was into radiation. And then after radiation, there was a little rest before going into chemotherapy, which I'm about halfway through. And so the biggest thing during all this time, the reason I had to put work on hold and put everything else on hold was fatigue, which it seemed above and beyond just tiredness, but an incapacity to really do anything you might want to do in your mind or you might want to do in planning. But there are all kinds of side effects from everything that was going on. The seizures are better now, but that was a real issue up and through radiation. Through all of this, I've never known what to expect. I had never in my mind thought of all the things that could happen to me, that I would get brain cancer. Like with all things, you really can't know what to expect. Your body is reacting in certain ways. And tiredness, fatigue is just overwhelming of all the side effects. Again, you can't assume that that's the case for everybody, but it is what happened for me. So, still in a place where all you can do is turn to God, trust God. So, what has come out of this little bit for me is calling this podcast Holy Well Journey, which even in the beginning I thought was a pretty cheesy name for a podcast. And the use of the word journey seems definitely really cheesy now and overused. But I always felt it was important to talk about journey that we're always on, that there is no way that you can perfect your diet, perfect your health, perfect your exercise routine and say, okay, just do these 5 things, then it's perfect. Do it for the rest of your life. But there's always the case that things are going to change over time, that your body's going to change over time, that you're going to have unexpected things happen to you that you have to adapt to. So it isn't just 5 steps in an arrival. It's always going to be a journey. Then the other big part of this to me is the holy well. Again, like those physical aspects of it are a big part, but they're not the only thing. There's so much in us, spiritual, emotional, mental, things that are happening to us. And when it comes to the podcast overall, it is again something so unexpected. There's no way I could have planned 3 years of podcasting and this would have been on the list. This is something brand new. And I don't know how often I'm going to be able to podcast. I don't know what kind of subjects and details I'm going to go into. Some of it may be like it has been in the past. I feel sure that some of it is going to be brand new. And I hope that it is something that I can do frequently because I think there's a lot in it that is about sharing just this type of experience and what it brings about. And it can constantly change. It can constantly change for sure within a week, but also within one day. So the one thing that has been extremely big deal over this past year has been the way that people have come out and helped our family. For one, I've always known that caregivers have a very intense job and it's not an easy job. But my husband has gone so above and beyond for me and for caring for our family, for taking care of all kinds of things. I could not be more grateful for that. And also for our friends, people around us, people we even barely know have come out of the woodwork being so generous to us, helping to take care of us to such a huge degree, from everything from meals to taking care of the kids, the house, all of it. And we are so beyond grateful for that. And I think that's where I would like to leave it today is just, it's the end of the year. It's the end of 2025. And it would be so rare if everything has gone exactly the way that someone has expected and someone has known was going to be the turnout. But in spite of it all, I hope there are some things that you can be very grateful for. And I know it's something commonly said as you close the year and move into the new year, but I would really encourage that you look back, see what was brand new for you, see what was unexpected, and then also make that long list of things to be grateful for. And I hope and pray that you have an amazing turn of the year. Happy New Year and welcome 2026. And I hope to share with you again soon. So Happy New Year.